Coming up on Valley View News, Netflix employees walk out to protest Dave Chappelle's stand-up special. Plus, street vendors start a safe marketplace for other Latin vendors to sell goods at. And a Pink Floyd exhibition opens on Hollywood Boulevard.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Elizabeth Medina.
And I'm Malik Patterson in the Digital Media Center.
After a long drought, the West Coast got battered by rainfall that set records and started dangerous mudslides. In Southern California, rainfall reached a half inch to 1.5 inches in Los Angeles and Ventura counties. LA County had sent out a flood advisory on Monday, warning residents that roadway flooding was likely and to be aware of possible mudslides. Many places in SoCal are realizing once again that the infrastructure is ill-equipped for heavy rain, with massive flooding throughout the state. Students at CSUN had mixed feelings about the rain, some enjoying the change in weather, while others were inconvenienced by the downpour.
I'm glad that we have rain because we are in a drought.
Funny thing is that the windshield wipers in my car aren't working. I can't drive home, so I'm kind of stuck here. I'm waiting for a ride to come pick me up.
Sacramento broke its 24-hour rainfall record with 5.44 inches of rain reported. San Francisco had its wettest October day ever with more than 4 inches of rain. It was also the fourth wettest day in San Francisco's history, dating back to the Gold Rush era.
Los Angeles County voted Wednesday to approve a ban on camping at certain locations. The council voted 12-2 to outlaw sitting, sleeping, and lying at 54 locations in 3 districts. The ban affects sitting, sleeping, and storing property near fire hydrants, building entrances, driveways, libraries, parks, and some other public areas. The new rules come at a time when elected officials trying to balance the anger of people with housing with the need to create permanent and interim housing for people who don't have anywhere to live.
Twitter suspended the account of Republican Congressman Jim Banks. Twitter says he intentionally misgendered a senior health and human services official. Dr. Rachel Levine became the first openly transgender 4-star officer in the country's 8 uniformed services. Banks responded to the news saying that the title of admiral was taken by a man. Twitter said the comment violated its hateful conduct policy. Banks defended himself, saying the post was a statement of fact. As the nation's top transgender official, Levine says she'll work to support the LGBTQ community.
Last week, many Netflix employees walked out from work behind the company's airing of the controversial Dave Chappelle special. Valley View's Margot Rowe was there and has this report.
Amplified gender violence.
Last week, dozens of allies and members of the LGBTQ community and many Netflix employees took part in a Netflix walkout.
I am here.
The walkout was in response to Dave Chappelle's Netflix-sponsored special called The Closer. Many complained that the show mocks the trans community.
Dave Chappelle put out a very extremely transphobic and homophobic special, and to me, that hurts me directly.
Even after strong public acrimony and an employee backlash, Netflix CEO Ted Sarandos defended the Chappelle special. Netflix also fired an employee for leaking a company memo about the Chappelle program to the media. He also said the content on screen doesn't directly translate to real-world harm. Also, 2 workers were suspended for organizing the Netflix walkout. Under pressure, Sarandos later said that he screwed up and should have recognized the fact that a group of our employees was really hurting.
They suspended, trans employees and then fired one. Shows kind of the level of equity of actually hearing their employees.
And be invisible where they try to invisibilize us.
Trans activist Ashley Marie Preston organized the event and was joined by many, including her sister. They had demands for what Netflix should do next.
I hope that Netflix will meet the demands that our trans siblings have created. I hope that they get to be paid more for the trauma that they've had to endure. I really hope that it brings more doors of conversation open.
Many employees participated in the walkout today, but Netflix as a whole still needs to take steps in undoing the damage it did to the trans community. Reporting from Los Angeles for Valley View News, I'm Margot Rowe.
1 person was killed and 7 injured in a shooting at an off-campus party near Fort Valley State University in Georgia. It happened last weekend during homecoming. The Georgia Bureau investigation is looking into exactly what happened. Officials say the dead person wasn't an FVSU student. Meanwhile, those injured are in stable condition. The school was placed on lockdown after the shooting. The lockdown was later lifted and the homecoming game continued as scheduled. So far, there's no information on the suspect.
Nicholas Cruz pled guilty to murdering 17 high school students at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High in 2018 in Parkland, Florida. He was charged with 17 murder counts and 17 counts of attempted first-degree murder. In court, Cruz apologized for what he did. However, for some families of the victims, his apology wasn't enough. One family member said the media should focus on the teens murdered by Cruz instead of focusing on his apology.
Show the 17 that died, the 17 that were injured, interview them, find out how they're moving forward. He doesn't matter anymore. He just doesn't matter.
Cruz now faces a penalty trial where 12 jurors will decide if he gets the death penalty or life without parole. Since he pled guilty, his attorney says he's taking responsibility for his crimes. In January, the judge starts looking at thousands of potential jurors.
The assistant film director who gave actor Alec Baldwin the loaded prop gun that killed a woman last week had complaints about his work habits on past films. David Halls gave the prop gun to Baldwin, who then accidentally shot and killed 42-year-old cinematographer Helena Hutchins. Director Joel Souza was also injured. Hours before the incident, the film's camera crew walked off the set to protest working conditions and production issues, some of which included safety concerns. There were 2 previous accidental gun discharges on the set days before the fatal shooting. Baldwin, known for his roles in 30 Rock and The Hunt for Red October, called the killing a tragic accident. The movie's production remains on hold until further notice.
Street Vendors Unidos is a market where Los Angeles street food vendors can sell their goods at safe spaces. Valley View's Catherine Hernandez went there and has this story.
In recent years, videos of Latino street food vendors being robbed and beaten up have circulated the internet. As a result, Wendy Guardado was inspired to start Street Vendors Unidos, a market in Los Angeles where vendors can sell their goods and feel safe.
Somewhere where they can go and get help. And so that's really what inspires me all the time, being able to provide anything for them. And I know like the events for them, it's a big deal.
One food vendor, Mari Laura Lopez, owner of Elote y Raspados La Poblana, was attacked in June. She's grateful to be at today's event and happy to be back to work. It marked my life because I love what I do and going to sell, but unfortunately the assault did affect me. Romario Garcia, owner of ENC Fruit Stand in North Hollywood, works long days to make ends meet. He's hurt by the attitudes by some of the public, but says he tries to make each day a new one. They try to make you feel bad for the simple fact that you're working on the streets and that they're in a better place than you are, but it shouldn't be that way.
Wendy Guardado is determined to continue the fight for equality towards street vendors with the help of City Council member Kevin De Leon and hopes to make this a reoccurring event. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Catherine Hernandez.
Brian Laundrie is confirmed dead. He's suspected of killing his fiancée, Gabby Petito, in September. There was a nationwide hunt for Laundrie, who disappeared after Petito went missing. Her body was eventually found. Laundrie's remains were found in a nature preserve in Florida last week. The FBI used dental records to identify him. Officials couldn't immediately determine a cause of death since only his skeletal remains were found. Criminal defense attorney Mark O'Mara thinks Laundrie likely killed himself. A notebook was found near his remains. Investigators think it may shed light on his death and the death of Petito.
Robert Durst was formally charged with the murder of his former wife, Kathy Durst, who disappeared in 1982. The murder charges were filed last week as a grand jury investigates the crime. In New York State, a grand jury investigation is usually the initial step in the criminal prosecution. This follows Durst's sentencing to life in prison for the murder of his friend, Susan Berman, in 2000. Prosecutors say he killed Berman because she would have exposed details concerning his wife Kathy's death. Kathy's body was never found.
A missing 5-year-old boy's body was found after more than a week of searching. Elijah Lewis was last seen in September at his home in Merrimack, New Hampshire. His body was found 70 miles away. The police started investigating Elijah's disappearance on October 14th after the Rhode Island Department of Children, Youth and Families reported him missing. Police said this week that the discovered body belonged to Elijah.
As you all know, Massachusetts State Police, New Hampshire State Police, along with the Abington Police have been searching these woods for the last day or so. This morning, State Police cadaver dog and MSP Special Emergency Response Team members located what's presumed to be Elijah Lewis's body buried in the ground.
Elijah's mother, Danielle Dauphiné, and her boyfriend, Joseph Staff, are charged with only his disappearance so far. They both pled not guilty to the charge.
Another round of stimulus checks go out this week to Californians who qualify. More than 1 million pandemic stimulus payments are being sent out. The Golden State Stimulus 2 payments started in August. The government money comes from federal funds and $75 billion state surplus. Nearly 2/3 of Californians are eligible for checks which are under $600. Those excluded are people who get their sole income from programs like SSI and Social Security.
More to come on Valley View News. An annual event called Latina Fest is helping Latinx businesses, and Lyft released new data on sexual assaults within their company. We'll be right back.
Let's go to Jeannie Rodriguez in Studio B with some international news.
The leader of the Haitian gang responsible for kidnapping 17 U.S. and Canadian missionaries threatened to kill them. The missionary group, which includes several children, has been held captive since last week. Their captors demand a ransom of $1 million per hostage. In the group is an infant and 2 teenagers. The death threat came after the victim's family spoke publicly for the first time. Hundreds of Mayan artifacts are being uncovered in the Yucatan Peninsula. A special train line is being built in the area for items that are unearthed. Archaeologists have found everything from ceramic vessels to burial sites along the route. These items date back more than 2,000 years. Researchers say they were likely used by the ruling elite. Critics say the train track construction will potentially harm the environment, but Mexican President Andrés Obrador said the project won't hurt the environment and will benefit tourism. Pope Francis made a plea last Sunday to protect migrants from being sent back to Libya and other unsafe countries. Many migrants are being sent to Libya where they endure beatings and rape. Francis wants the international community to find a way to manage the migratory flows. In the past few years, there's been a rising popularity of anti-migrant political parties in Italy. The Italian government has been under pressure from some citizens to crack down on illegal immigration. Colombia's most wanted drug lord was captured on Saturday. Dairo Antonio Usuga was known as Otonio. President Ivan Duque announced Otonio's capture on television.
And in this operation, we have captured Dairo Antonio Usuga.
He was caught in his rural hideout near the Panama border. He's accused of murdering several policemen, soldiers, and social leaders. The operation involves 500 soldiers supported by 22 helicopters. One police officer was killed in the process. Otonio's capture has been compared to dramatic capture of Pablo Escobar in the 90s. That's it for international news. Back to you, Elizabeth, in Studio A.
Many Latinx entrepreneurs face stereotypes in the workplace and society that many believe are reinforced in the media. Valley View's Jonathan Giovinazzi spoke with some Latinx businesses owners who say they're changing those labels by bringing the community together.
We just lost touch with the people that make handmade products that are nourishing.
Carla Izquierdo is a business owner living out one of her dreams. She poured her talent and creativity into handcrafted skincare products.
Moisturizers, serums, scrubs, everything that is natural and nourishing for the skin.
As a new business owner, Izquierdo credits Latina Fest with helping her find new customers and build a network with other Latinx businesses.
This is just crucial to really share the stories and share with one another and really share with our community.
Latina Fest is an annual event founded by LA natives Bel Hernandez and Naibe Reynoso. This year, Latina Fest made its in-person return during Hispanic Heritage Month to promote Latin culture.
We have a community of Latinas coming together, selling their products, showcasing their products. We have food, we have music, and we have community.
Vendors say they're happy to be back now that COVID restrictions are easing. Roberto Flores backpacked throughout Mexico, buying products from Mexican workers that he can sell here. He says he's proud to share their creations with U.S. consumers.
90% of our actual vendors are Latina, so it's kind of the more that we sell, the more that we help out our Latina in Mexico.
Festivities continue here at Latina Fest, and Latinx empowerment continues across Los Angeles. Businesses continue to build, and stereotypes continue to break. Reporting from downtown, I'm Jonathan Giovinazzi.
The United States Postal Service plans to increase its staff and add new facilities. The purpose is to prepare for the daunting holiday season. Currently, supply chain issues are affecting consumers nationwide. 45 new facilities will be added and 40,000 seasonal employees will be hired. There's also expecting to deliver 50,000 packages per day. Officials say there'll be a 35% increase in volume from 2020. Another reason for increases are the many delays the USPS had during the pandemic.
Facebook is facing controversy connected to the January 6th Capitol insurrection. Facebook's Sheryl Sandberg downplayed the company's role in the insurrection. She said Facebook actually took down QAnon and other hate-mongering groups' posts prior to the event. However, some Facebook employees say the social media company wasn't prepared for the insurrection. A whistleblower says Facebook misled investors and the public about right-wing extremists using social media. Facebook is accused of negligence in the January 6th insurrection and 2020 election.
Tesla hit $1 trillion market cap after Hertz put in a large order for electric vehicles. They're ordering 100,000 vehicles in order to build its electric vehicle rental fleet by 2022. Tesla now joins other trillion-dollar market cap companies like Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft. The deal took Tesla's stock to more than $998 per share, a record high. The Hertz deal brings in a reported $4.2 billion to Tesla, the company's largest sales of electric vehicles.
Last week, the rideshare company Lyft released data about sexual assaults. The information was from 2017 through 2019. It shows there were 4,158 reports of sexual assault in that time. 360 of those cases involved rape. There were 10 deaths from physical assaults. Rideshare companies have been flooded with legal claims in recent years. Uber reported a staggering 5,981 cases of sexual assault in their first report.
Sexual violence can affect everyone, but studies show that women of color experience sexual violence and assaults more frequently than other groups. Celine Stevens reports on one program that's trying to end the grim statistics.
We cannot have any sort of change if you don't acknowledge a problem. And we got a problem.
Supporters gathered in Leimert Park for the Women's Leadership Project's second annual rally to stand for Black girls and fight to end rape culture and sexual violence.
African American girls have some of the highest rates of sexual violence, sexual harassment, sex trafficking, and domestic and intimate partner violence in the nation.
Hutchinson founded the project to educate young women in South LA schools. She said everyone should learn about the sexual violence and abuse experienced by women of African descent.
Approximately 34% of those who are missing and abducted are actually of African descent. So one would be to bring attention to our stories, our narratives.
Black girls, stand.
Corinne Baptiste believes these rallies remind everyone how much sexual abuse affects Black women.
When you think of sexual assault, you don't think of Black women, you think of white women. And that's what a lot of media and police really focus on.
County Supervisor Holly Mitchell supports the program's demands and plans to help.
And I'm not only standing with black girls, my job is to protect black girls.
The program will work directly with Supervisor Mitchell to bring well-being centers to South LA high schools and provide better reproduction resources for women. Reporting from Leimert Park, I'm Celine Stevens.
When we come back, a Latinx clothing store celebrates Hispanic Heritage Month in style. Also, a small complex opened up for the homeless in Highland Park. Stay with us.
Actor James Michael Tyler, known for playing Gunther on the TV sitcom Friends, died Sunday at age 59. He passed away at his LA residence after a 3-year battle with advanced prostate cancer. Tyler was supposed to join former castmates on HBO's Friends reunion special in April. Instead, he appeared via Zoom. The actor announced his illness in June. He urged the public to get regular cancer screenings. He said he hoped to save at least one life by sharing his experience. Tyler is survived by his wife, Jennifer Carno.
The city of LA will designate $250,000 toward the construction of a statue commemorating the 1871 Chinese massacre. Last Sunday marked the 150th anniversary of the bloody incident ignited by anti-Chinese sentiment. At least 18 people were violently murdered by a raging mob. Currently, a small sidewalk plaque serves as a reminder of the racially motivated incident. A group known as the 1871 Steering Committee conducted research on possible locations for the monument. The city will consider design suggestions next year.
Latinx clothing brands are on the rise and finding a new way to style your wardrobes. Valley View's Kimmy Chacon spoke to Género Neutral about a fashion pop-up event in Echo Park.
Género Neutral is a clothing brand owned by Jennifer Zapata and Ashley SP. The women and their brand are trending in the Latinx community. They're bringing together a fresh new style. Ezequiel Susillo is a frequent customer at Género Neutral and supports the message behind the brand.
I'm a fan of Género Neutral and Paisa Boys, and I saw the collab that they're going to have on the Paisa Girls shirt and decided to come to the store to purchase it.
An employee says it's important that fashion connects with the community and that it provides a platform for diverse artists working in the Latinx market.
All different facets of art, being that the Latin people are so very vast in what we do, from food to music, fashion, so on and so forth. Our roots are very rich in heritage and storytelling.
Zapata and Ashley SP say they're also excited to collaborate with a new partner, Latina Magazine. The partnership helps them better represent their Echo Park community.
I was wanting to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month, and so we decided to put on this event together on the last day or the last weekend of it.
Género Neutral founders say their brands are identifying predominantly with the Latinx Echo Park community. They say their shop is new, but it's showing a rapid growth in new customers. Reporting for Valley View News in Echo Park, I'm Kimmy Chacon.
The largest tiny home village in the country opened in Highland Park. It offers transitional residences for the homeless. The 117 cabins cost the city of Los Angeles about $55,000. A team of painters overseen by popular YouTuber Zach Shea customized the homes with vibrant designs. Council member Kevin De Leon's office says the project is part of a plan to develop 25,000 housing units by 2025. The complex is the 7th such village to open in LA. Hope of the Valley Rescue Mission will manage daily operations when residents move in next week.
Singer Solange Knowles opened a free community library of rare and hard-to-access books by Black authors. The online project is run by the artist Saint Heron Creative Studio. It launched with a collection of 50 books. People who want to rent books can borrow one publication at a time for a period of 45 days. These inaugural collection offers titles by celebrated authors Octavia Butler, Langston Hughes, and Audre Lorde. The list of available books will rotate by season. Guest curators will be in charge of selecting offers that reflect a range of literary genres.
Following the Dodgers' NLCS loss against the Braves, big questions loom regarding free agency in the offseason. A taxing year left key players on the injured list, but manager Dave Roberts said he was proud of the team's advancement.
It was a tremendous season. It was a heck of a year. going through a lot of different things that we went through that no one talked about, no one needed to talk about, and didn't let it affect our performance.
Many Dodgers stars may be wearing a different jersey next season. The most notable name on the free agent list is future Hall of Famer Clayton Kershaw, who spent his entire career with the team. The future is also uncertain for pitcher Max Scherzer, utility player Chris Taylor, and shortstop Corey Seager.
Anti-vax protesters gathered outside of Barclays Center in Brooklyn to support the Nets guard Kyrie Irving's decision to not get vaccinated. Local regulations say that unvaccinated players can't play during home games. Nets general manager Sean Marks said Irving can't start playing home games and practicing this season until he gets vaccinated. Many fans said regulations are unfair and support his right to body autonomy.
I support Kyrie because it is a personal choice. If Kyrie wants to do that, it's his body, his choice.
Some protesters also tried to break through barriers around the access to the arena's entrance. The Barclays Center was forced to close briefly while protesters were cleared from the area. Only ticketed guests were allowed to enter. No arrests were made.
If you're a fan of classic rock and want to go on a psychedelic journey, then the Pink Floyd exhibit might be the place to be. Our reporter Mary Peronian has the story.
The Pink Floyd exhibit at the Vogue Multicultural Museum on Hollywood Boulevard takes fans on an audiovisual musical journey to experience the iconic rock band's history. The exhibit features unreleased recordings. Also, there are original instruments used by past and present Pink Floyd members, including Roger Waters, David Gilmour, Syd Barrett, Richard Wright, and Nick Mason. The exhibit's director, Diego Gonzalez, says the Pink Floyd sound, their art, is what grabs people's attention.
Pink Floyd is a very influential band with their art, their music, their movies, everything that has passed through that process to be where they're at, one of the best bands in the world.
Each room tells a story dedicated to a specific song or album. Pink Floyd produced some of the most iconic imagery, from pigs flying over Battersea Station, the Dark Side of the Moon Prism, the Wall, the Division Bell, and more. When the doors opened, fans rushed inside for this once-in-a-lifetime experience. One fan, Daniel Rahill, got nostalgic about Pink Floyd moments from his teenage years.
One of my first albums in 1972 was Dark Side of the Moon. I was in high school, and it became an anthem.
Now, don't you wish you were here? The Pink Floyd exhibition here in Hollywood Boulevard will be open until January 9, and tickets are sold on pinkfloydexhibition.com. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Mary Peronian.
Porto's Bakery is coming to Northridge in January. The popular Cuban chain is known for its tasty potato balls, cheese rolls, and cakes. A grand opening was set earlier this year, but there were construction delays. The bakery will be located in the Northridge Fashion Center at the former site of the Sears Auto Center. Meanwhile, a Porto stand is set up at the mall's Wednesday Farmers Market.
That's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Elizabeth Medina.
And I'm Malik Patterson. For stories any time of day, go to our website, csunvalleyview.edu. Thanks for watching.